Hi, I'm Gus.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Dave.
I'm Darren.
I'm Max.
Today we're going to be drinking 3 Floyds Dark Lord Russian Imperial Stout. Nose on the 2006 is really big and sweet.
The nose, I get a lot of combinations of raisins, raisin, chocolate covered raisin sweetness, dark chocolate.
Not very much alcohol heat.
There's definitely some soy sauce on the nose.
Actually, a heavy amount of soy sauce, but it's pleasant soy sauce. It's not over agitated.
I kind of have to say this one's going downhill pretty quickly.
You can definitely tell even on the nose that it is old. You got that impression.
Starting to get pretty oxidized. I have to say improper storage.
Golly! It's very sweet and there's a lot more roast in it than I would have expected for it being as old as it is.
Tons and tons of dark chocolate, and raisin, plums, just that really kind of intense, dark fruit astringency.
I'm getting a lot of the roastiness. I'm still getting the soy sauce though, and the molasses, candied sugar almost.
The dark fruit, old malt really lingers on your tongue. The beginning stages of oxidation are starting to show, but it's held up very well.
7!
Ooh, poopy.
The 7's nose is not quite as fruity sweet to me as the 6.
I got more of the dark fruits.
But it has the chocolate, a little bit of the raisin.
I get a lot more chocolate in it. I don't get as much fruit, none of that plum. Soy sauce is in the smell at all.
I almost get a soapy smell, almost like a Belgian beer smell, which is very strange.
And the 7's is a lot softer, a lot more milk chocolate on the nose, not as much of the brown sugar that I get.
There's a lot less everything. The notes don't kind of jump out at you. They meld together a little better. The intense maltiness that the 06 had, except maybe just a little bit different, a little bit less of the plum raisin character.
It smells wonderful, actually. It smells like it's a recent vintage.
It's a lot silkier too. It's a much smoother, kind of creamier mouthfeel.
I think this one is a little bit coats the mouth a little bit more, and after you take a sip, you kind of feel like you just ate a chocolate bar or something like that.
I get a lot of the chocolate still. It's almost equal to the smell.
Definitely sweeter. It had a fuller body.
Much lower soy sauce, raisins is not there. Yeah, the flavor is definitely really intense, bitter chocolate, really dark chocolate.
I'm still getting a slight soy sauce taste. There's not as much alcohol burn on this one as there was on the 06.
Still pretty bitter, and there's a lot of astringency in it too, kind of like a roasty, astringent flavor. I'm really kind of surprised. The difference between these two, I would have thought there would have been a progressive kind of reduction in the raisin, which comes kind of with that older malt, and it's just not there with 1 year difference.
2008!
This is the 8, and we are returning back to the 06. I think this one's a little bit milkier on the nose.
The plum is back in this. The first one had a lot of those dark fruit characters. This one's got it too.
A lot more of the big molassesy sugar, less of the milk chocolate.
The chocolate kind of raisin balance. This one actually almost feels older because I kind of almost expect those raisins with the oldness. Definitely some raisins on the nose. That dark fruit character, but not maybe as intense as the 06.
Although this is the first one I've actually smelled a little bit of coffee in. So that means the coffee hasn't completely faded like the other two have, and they throw a ton of intelligentsia coffee in this stuff, so it should be here at some point.
Ooh, the 8's hot. It's got a lot of alcohol heat behind it.
I think the flavor of this one's a lot more balanced than the other ones. It's not, it's very sweet, but it's not overly sweet.
It's burning, I'm warm.
The fruit is still there. It's still on the backbone. It's not as present as I felt it was in the 6.
Chocolate lingers on your tongue more than the 06.
A little bit of that coffee on the tip of the tongue. Rest of it, it's pretty consistent with all the other years so far. You get the chocolate, you get the plum, you get, you know, the raisins, molasses. Not as much soy sauce on this one, but still an excellent beer, and I still prefer the 7 so far.
There's just a hint of bitterness to kind of back it up. There's less of that astringent flavor that I was getting from the other two vintages.
Similar, but a lot more hot, a lot more dark fruits than the 07. Still no hop presence.
And there is a slight bitterness to this one, but I think it's more from the chocolate than necessarily any kind of hops.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's not gonna be much hop presence on any of these.
Dark Lord is sort of ridiculously intense, and this one's a little bit on the balanced side, so I think this one is my favorite so far.
9! It is much softer than any of the other noses so far.
Lots of fruit.
I get a lot more of the black, like the currants, the raisins, the plum on the nose.
More soy sauce than the
Yes.
08.
All of the nose flavors seem more married together.
Blackberry notes on it. This is the closest one so far that I smell to like a fortified wine or a port, that sort of thing.
Dark fruit, chocolate again. There's definitely some roast, a good amount of chocolate on the nose too. I think this one has the most like milk chocolate flavor than any of the other ones.
Everything that I enjoyed about the other ones kind of in a nice harmonious balance mixed together.
There is a lot more balance to this one.
It seems like the older ones are more of like a really intense dark chocolate, and as they get younger, they become more like milk chocolate.
Boozy.
It is kind of hot. I do get a lot of the heat on there. I have a feeling that all of the other vintages from here on out are going to be hot.
You get a lot more of that chocolate. You even get some of that bitterness from that coffee that they throw in it too.
Maybe a little more coffee on this one, but maybe I'm searching for it.
Still sugary.
There's a slight little bit of soy sauce on this one.
Still has a tinge of the soy sauce.
Thinner than the others.
10!
That's one of the most balanced smells I've had all night.
It's just a lot more milk chocolate, a little bit softer, less abrasive.
Continuation of dark fruits, chocolate balance. I think this one on the nose, it's a lot smoother than some of the other older vintages.
Maybe some heat on the nose this time. I don't think I've gotten that off any other noses yet.
You get you get everything that is Dark Lord in this smell. You get the cocoa, you get the plums, you get the blah blah blah.
It's hard to not just repeat what everybody else just said.
Stop saying soy.
There's very little soy in this one.
Same with the taste. It's well balanced.
It's like liquid candy bar. It's like liquid chocolate.
It's actually got a lot more chocolate. I lied. It's not as balanced. It's got a ton of chocolate in it. It's an excellent beer, and it is like a Hershey bar in your mouth.
This one's way sweeter than the other ones, but it's not like unbalancedly sweet. More of the same. I've seen maybe a little less aged since it is a little newer.
As it goes with the alcohol, it's not as burny and boozy as I thought it was going to be.
Not as boozy as a 9. Had a really good balance between chocolate and hops.
A really pleasant hop bitterness right at like the kind of the top of the tongue.
Tons of milk chocolate, tons of dark fruits and raisins and all that jazz. Some fruit, some chocolate, maybe a little more chocolate on this, some more coffee.
It's held up pretty well for a few years in the cellar, so I'm impressed. Cheers.
11. 2011. I smell a lot of tits.
Tons of coffee on the nose. Lots of coffee.
There's a lot of coffee.
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 Coffee!
Super coffee.
I live here. I can drink as I want.
There's an interesting, dare I say, spiciness.
Because of the alcohol heat and the coffee, it's almost like hot sauce on the nose. A little bit, which is kind of weird.
More coffee!
And the taste of this one, it's getting into that sickeningly sweet realm, like sugar daddies or, you know, that type of candy, like unbalancedly sweet.
It's a lot sweeter than the other ones, and it seems a bit thinner bodied too.
I don't enjoy the body on this. It's definitely thinner, and to me that is a problem with this kind of, I'm going to build the world's most intense stout. Mouthfeel is an important part of that. It's got everything else that like the 10 had, except it's just way more sweet and rather unpleasant. I think this is my least favorite so far.
It just doesn't have the wonderful patina that the others have. You know, all the hard edges are still there. It's still fresh. It's still got some life left in it. It can sit on the shelf, but it's also drinking really well right now.
Still a good beer, but I think just because of the mouthfeel, might be the weakest of the group.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, this one on the nose, just not pleasant. It's like artificial sugar.
I do get this really slick sweetness though. It's like off-puttingly sweet.
I am disappointed.
You literally just get like semi-sweetness. You don't even get good semi-sweetness like when you open up like a Hershey bar or something.
It almost smells like artificial grape to me. Maybe a little bit way in the back.
I think if there was a bee or ant within like 20 miles of here, it would flock over to this sugary mess. That's stupid.
Not even gonna bother with the 12.
It is very sweet.
Yeah, the flavor is like fake caramel,
In the taste, it's straight sugar. It's not pleasant.
unpleasant, like sugar daddy.
But it's not like it's brown sugar or candy sugar. It just tastes like table sugar. There's nothing complex or interesting about it.
I'm sure there's a huge complex beer like underneath all the sweetness, but it's literally like almost impossible to get past the sweetness in this beer.
2012 Dark Lord I find to be unenjoyable.
I don't like it.
The other ones can be appreciated for what they are. They might be a little extreme or whatever, but this is like, I would rather drink a bottle of Hershey's syrup.
I think this is sweeter than the 11, but between those two, I mean, they're fresher is not better when it comes to Dark Lord. I think we've proven that.
Cognac barrel aged. I have no idea what cognac smells like, so I'm not gonna say, oh, you can definitely sense the cognac in here, because you probably can. I'm uneducated, I don't know.
It smells wonderful, and I have had cognac before, and it takes on that blackberry character again, although it's a little bit more boozy, like you get almost like the whiskey-ish version of it.
The nose on this is just amazing. It's almost hard to get your nose out of this to actually drink it.
When I first started smelling this, I couldn't actually tell that it was barrel aged. It sort of just smelled like, not like the normal Dark Lord, but it didn't have like that oaky barrel, you know, aroma.
It's a lot bigger than the smells on most of the newer ones were.
Now that I've kind of buried my nose in it, you definitely get a lot of it. You get some almost like vanilla,
It's just a lot brighter and livelier.
Really caramely.
like toffee and caramel. And the taste is pretty excellent.
That is super creamy.
Mapley, really kind of delicious, rich dessert beer flavor.
Right on the tip of the tongue. I get the coffee that's in the original Dark Lord.
Now when we poured this, you could see it was a lot livelier in the glass. It really lends this nice effervescence. Creamy is the best way I can describe the body.
And then the booze flows down, and then those dark fruits come out of that cognac barrel.
The booze kind of like helps balance it out, which is kind of weird because it is very sweet, but you know, you get a little bit of the cut from the booze.
You get some of the barrel, you get some of the high alcohol,
Vanilla,
you get the chocolate, you get the raisin at the front.
toffee,
It's a fantastic beer.
and caramel, and a little bit of like that barrel character on the tongue, and it's very excellent. Good stuff.
I could literally have like a drop of this, and it would coat my whole tongue.
Cognac barrel aged on spicy.
It's so cool.
Wow, that head disappeared fast.
That is hot peppers, like right up front. There are peppers in this beer. It is undeniable that is a pepper beer.
On the nose, the peppers are pretty intense.
All of the other characters are in there. It is sweet, but it's really, really hard to get around that pepper smell.
It definitely smells like freshly chopped up, you know, whatever kind of peppers they put in it.
Undeniably pepper.
Yeah, the taste, like up front, you get this like heat from the peppers, but then it like subsides and you get this like really intense sweetness.
Then just coats your mouth with that burn.
This is really rad. Normally I don't like pepper beers.
And this tastes very much like if you've had a dessert or like a cheesecake or something with like a really hot pepper on it. It's like this balance of sweet and hot.
I get a lot more sweetness than off the regular cognac. But yeah, the peppers are in there. They're hot. They're not overbearing. I think they're complementary. I could probably deal with a little less pepper. I'll be real honest with you.
And the chili is wonderful. Literally, it coats your whole mouth, from the roof to the tongue, goes all the way down your throat, and then decides to come back up a little bit too.
I don't give many beers 5 stars. That beer is a 5-star beer.
I'm gonna be brave and say I don't like this.
It's got all my favorite things. Chocolate, spicy, alcoholic.
I don't really get pepper beers. I don't get the burn.
Well done, Floyds. I talk shit about you guys a lot, but I love you, man.
That being said, this is the best pepper beer I've ever had, but I still don't really care for it, especially when you consider in the monetary value required to purchase said bottle.
It's very, very enjoyable. I do not like pepper beers, but this is by far my favorite one, and I would most certainly drink this again. And I'm glad I got to get a bottle of it and share it. And I love you.